we haven't seen a Free Fire 8 over 2 days boss since part 1, but that's gonna change. The fact that the Infernal Engine has the defenses of a Shuckle and as much health as a Blissey is the least of your problems with a battle with it. This giant heartless machine is armed with 3 weapons: exploding barrels, a cannon that shoots out fireballs, and a hammer. These wouldn't be too hard to deal with, but because of their speed and the camera in this battle, you'll most likely not see them coming and avoid them. And that's not even mentioning the 3 Archer Heartlesses on the machine that'll fire arrows at you. The game does tell you where their arrows will land, but because of how you're busy dealing with the machine's weapons, you might not avoid the arrows until it's too late. You can dispose of the Archer Heartlesses by reflecting the machine's fireballs when it's using its cannon, but they will respawn, and until then, the Infernal Engine will add a new attack to its arsenal, where it will spit out a crate containing soldiers, which aren't too much of a hassle. Like I said earlier, this Heartless is as sturdy as a Shuckle and has enough health to make even a Blissey jealous. So taking it down will take an eternity, until it decides to show its weak point, which, by the way, couldn't have been more obvious even if it was flashing. But anyways, when its weak point is revealed, it means you can insert Genji Days of the Blade joke here. However, you'd better be careful, because after a while of exposing its weak spot, it will try to run you over. Granted, this boss isn't really cheap if you know what you're doing, but its ridiculous health and insane defenses still means it'll take a while to dismantle this machine. Still, at least it's not as boring as the worst boss Free Fire 8 over 2 days has to offer, but we'll get to that when we get to that, which is not the next entry. If you've been paying attention to this list up until now, you've noticed that I've yet to put a boss from Birth by Sleep on this list. And that's because, while Birth by Sleep's boss lineup isn't amazing, there aren't any bosses from that game I'd call horrible either. With the exception of the fight against the possessed Zack Fair at Olympus Coliseum in Terra's campaign. Now, the fight against Zack before he got possessed was irritating enough, courtesy of that blasted rising slash attack that gives you little to no second to react to. But because Hercules' Hades is as much of a troll as his younger brother from Kid Icarus Uprising, he decided that fight wasn't annoying enough and gives Zack power. But in doing so, he also gave us the most frustrating boss in Birth by Sleep. How frustrating is this fight? Well, let me show you a clip of somebody getting hit by Dark Zack's first attack. You see that? The player in the footage almost has their health completely depleted. And let me tell you that if you're a sitting duck or something, Dark Zack's reverse Omni Slash is a guaranteed insta kill. And just a reminder, reverse Omni Slash is the first attack that Dark Zack will always use. And believe me, he'll use it again if he really wants to. As for the rest of the fight, it's pretty much the same as the Zack fight from before, complete with that annoying rising slash move, but he also adds another attack where he summons meteors from the sky and, okay, that attack's not too bad, but still, that accursed reverse Omni Slash that Dark Zack has is enough to place the fight against him this high on the list. The only thing keeping this boss from being in the top 3 is the fact that you can easily avoid Dark Zack's reverse Omni Slash if you use shot locks. Number 3 is my least favorite boss from Free Fire 8 over 2 days. Can you guess what it is? Nope, it's not Ruler of the Sky.
Serious?
Now, hear me out before you start complaining and stuff. Personally, I didn't hate the fight against it nearly as much as everyone else does. Sure, the fight can be long, annoying, and frustrating. The latter two words especially applies when it goes berserk after you destroy one of its tail segments, but I do get some enjoyment out of fighting it. So instead, the title of the worst boss from Free Fire over 2 days goes to... Nope, it's not Dustflower either.
Are you serious?
Again, please hear me out. As I said in the beginning of this countdown, one of the rules is that I cannot include optional bosses that I haven't beaten, and since Dustflower is such, it's disqualified, though I get the feeling that if I actually beaten it, it would have definitely been on the list. So, if my least favorite Free Fire 8 over 2 days boss isn't Ruler of the Sky, and it isn't Dustflower, does that mean it's the other obvious contender? Well, what do you think? I seriously want one of you guys to find someone who actually likes the fight against the least grade. But if you can't, then I don't blame you because this boss is simply abominable. For starters, and these first two complaints may seem like nitpicks, why don't get the mission in which you find the least grade in? Why should anyone care the Heartless population in Halloween Town is diminishing? I mean, yeah, Organization 13 needs to kill as much Heartlesses as they can so they can use Kingdom Hearts to get hearts of their own, but can't they just, I don't know, find massive hordes of Heartlesses in other worlds? As for the least grave itself, not even it makes sense. Why would it eat its fellow Heartless brethren? Okay, enough with how nothing about the least grave and its mission makes sense. How is the fight itself? Well, let's just say that if you don't know what you're doing, this fight can take so long that you can destroy Ys map from Final Fantasy XII in under that time. Now, when you fight the least grave, your first instinct is to go all Leroy Jenkins on it, right? Ha! You wish. If you have the guts to be near the least grave, it will perform a slash attack that hits like a truck loaded with... Actually, you know what? I'm out of truck analogies to make. So what's the best way to beat this boss? Destroy all of the least grave's tentacles, which were already annoying in the mission beforehand due to the fact that hitting their weak spots requires you to jump. Now, unlike the tentacles in the mission, the tentacles in this battle will be stunned if you block their attacks, giving you a chance to attack them without jumping, but that opportunity won't last forever. And to make matters worse, there's like 4 tentacles in the arena, so yeah, taking them down is gonna take some time. You can't use magic against them, but because of how magic works in Free Fire over 2 days, you'd better not have wasted your magic on the tentacles before the boss. Oh, and while you're doing all of this, the leech grave will try to attack you with poison, so yeah, you've got another thing to worry about. And when you finally, huge emphasis on finally, destroy all of the tentacles, it means that the leech grave will be stunned, giving you a chance to attack it with ease. However, the opportunity won't last forever, and once it recovers, which by the way takes a rather short time, it will summon its tentacles again. In other words, you have to do the whole tedious tentaclaw killing spree again. See what I mean when I say if you don't know what you're doing, this fight can take so long that you can potentially destroy Ys map in under that time? The quickest way to defeat the leech grave is to get as enough damage as possible so you can activate your limit break. And once the leech grave is done, go all crazy with your limit break. But that still doesn't change the fact that this heartless coffin deserves to be buried near the Earth's core, never to be dug up again. Sorry about that, but anyways, anybody who saw my least favorite bosses list should have seen this one coming. Yeah, you guys knew Chain of Memories' Captain Hook would be this high on the list, considering it was number 2 on my least favorite bosses list. And while I did find a Kingdom Hearts boss that was worse ever since I made that list, considering the fact that this fight is on this list, let alone this high, I think it's safe to say that my opinion on it has not changed, even after like 4 to 5 years. Like I said in the other list, the biggest problem with this battle is the arena. The arena, which is Hook's vessel, will rock around constantly, severely hindering your movement. Not only does the rocking shed makes it hard for you to avoid Hook's attacks, which includes going to your location so he can rapidly slash at you and throwing exploding presents, but it also makes it hard for you to even hit Hook, who, by the way, loves to jump all around the arena like a kangaroo. I've heard from Meta527 that the Re version fixed the rocking arena issue, but I'm just going to take his word on it because, like I said in the intro, I currently have no plans on playing Re Chain of Memories. And I haven't even mentioned that Hook has the ability to give all of his cards a value 0, which pretty much gives all of your cards and card combos the middle finger. Now, one question still remains. What could possibly be worse? Before we can answer that question though, I do have some dishonorable mentions. Jafar from Kingdom Hearts. A good idea of having you fight Jafar while Genie is on his side, but Jafar loves to teleport all around a pretty large arena. Thanks to the large arena, by the time you reach where Jafar is, chances are he's teleporting away from you again. But since Jafar's teleportation is the only main issue with this fight, I can't place it on the list. Dragon Maleficent from Chain of Memories. This boss was tied with Chain of Memories' Hook on my least favorite bosses list, and she would have been on this list if the fight with her from the first Kingdom Hearts wasn't worse. Not to mention, she's pretty easy in Reverse Rebirth. Riku from Kingdom Hearts 2. would have been a fine battle if those rapid thrusters weren't in your way. Plus, the battle ends abruptly like some of the bosses in Xenoblade Chronicles. Lock, Shock, and Barrel from Kingdom Hearts 2. This battle requires you to trap the trio in boxes, but since you can't directly aim the boxes at them, it means this battle pretty much consists of you hitting the magic boxes and hoping they'll touch and trap one of them. Larxene from Kingdom Hearts 2. Not only does she love to toss you around like a ragdoll, unlike the other absent silhouette bosses, she has no gimmick. That being said though, she is optional, meaning you don't have to beat her in order to finish Kingdom Hearts 2. Still, a bad boss fight isn't a good way to treat one of my favorite Organization 13 members, and Vexen from Kingdom Hearts 2. I did not like this fight's anti-sword gimmick, but like Larxene, Vexen's optional in KH2. Number 1 is the Riku replica rematch in the Reverse Rebirth campaign of Chain of Memories. I don't know where to begin with this boss. No, seriously, in the words of the mysterious Mr. Enter, where does one begin when literally everything is wrong? Of course, there's the obvious fact that Riku replica has a deck of its own, which, like I said before, always makes for the hardest bosses. Think that's bad enough? One of his non-card combo attacks, Continuous Cut, can actually stun Riku because that's perfectly fair. Speaking of card combos, apart from his Dark Viraga, Riku replica has a new card combo specifically for this battle, Dark Aura, which is arguably the worst part about this entire fight. Not only is it powerful and difficult to avoid, but even if you somehow miraculously survive it, accidentally hitting the Pillars of Life will cause Riku to be confused because that's perfectly fair. You can use Dark Aura yourself, but because the first card of one of your card combos disappears permanently after you use it, it means that you can pretty much only use Dark Aura once. So you'd better pray that Riku replica doesn't stop your Dark Aura with a 0 card or something. I know that this battle is pretty much identical to the final Riku replica battle in Sora's campaign, but I think the final match with him in Reverse Rebirth is slightly worse for one reason. Healing inability. You see, in Reverse Rebirth, the only way you can heal yourself is with a Mickey Mouse card. But because Mickey didn't tag along with Riku in Castle Oblivion's Twilight Town-esque room because Ansem forced him to challenge him alone, it means no Mickey card will spawn during the Riku replica rematch. In other words, you can't heal. Once again, that's perfectly fair. Honestly, I think I've said enough. While this boss isn't the worst boss fight I've ever faced, Infinity Maginian from Mega Man XX still takes that dishonor. The sheer frustration it provides puts every other Kingdom Hearts boss to shame, making it, in my opinion, the worst boss fight in the series. I am Ron Akemi at 185, and Square Enix, if you're watching this, when are we gonna get more info on Kingdom Hearts 4?
Around and around!